In the 8th century AD, Japan's sushi was so highly prized that people were allowed to use it to pay taxes. The authentic sushi that is typically associated with traditional Japanese sushi is called edame sushi. It's a relatively recent invention that was initially limited to the region around Tokyo. Still, some scholars believe that the word sushi comes from an older word meaning tart or acid, and that's with a reason. Early sushi chefs would pack fish in fermented rice. After months, the rice was thrown out and the fish was eaten alone. Only later, during the Muromachi period, would the rice be consumed with the fish. During the Edo period, vinegar rather than fermentation was finally used to sour the rice. And the modern style of preparing sushi was created by Hanaya Yohei in 1820s and was sold in fast food stalls. It was considered fast food because this type of sushi was not fermented and could be eaten with fingers or chopsticks. It was popular to eat in public or at movie as a snack. There are 6 types of sushi: shirazi sushi, scattered sushi; inari sushi, named after the Shinto god Inori; makizushi, rolled sushi; nerezushi, matured sushi; nigiri sushi, hand-pressed sushi; and oshizushi, pressed sushi. Sushi rice is called sumeshi, vinegar-flavored rice, or shari. Shari literally means Buddha's remains because the very white appearance of the rice reminded people of Buddha's mortal remains. During the US sushi boom of the late 20th century, bluefin tuna, a big coastal fish that was sold as cat food before, became a luxury item. In the 1985 cult movie Breakfast Club, rich girl Claire, played by Molly Ringwald, brings sushi for lunch, which adds to her princess status. Her raw fish lunch highlights how sushi was both becoming more popular in America and also how it was initially seen as an elitist food. Sushi became increasingly popular in the US in the 1980s when Americans started eating more healthy or were more health conscious. The term sushi originally referred to the fermented rice that was used to preserve fish, and sushi can be prepared with either brown or white rice, raw or cooked fish. Raw fish sliced and severed alone is called sashimi. Ancient sushi chefs would use nori or roasted seaweed to bind rice and fish together. Sushi chefs take as much care in choosing and prepping sushi rice as they do fish and shellfish. Sushi rice should not be dipped in soy sauce, and it's considered sloppy if the rice becomes saturated and falls apart. Only the fish part of the roll should be dipped. Additionally, it's considered rude to remove the fish from the rice to dip it in sauce. A sushi chef has undergone long training to put the sushi and rice together. Wasabi is originally from the root of the Wasabi japonica plant. However, most wasabi restaurants is a mix of green dyed harsh dish and mustard powder. Sushi isn't just about flavor, it's about the balance of flavor. The fish must complement the rice and vice versa. If sushi lacks balance, it's not good sushi. When sushi is balanced, it becomes oishi, or delicious. About 99.99% of all sushi that's served in the US is grown in the US. According to tradition, Japanese sushi should provide a strong sense of the seasons: spring, summer, fall, and winter. Consequently, many sushi chefs in Japan avoid out-of-season cultured fish. When fish are in season, they are the tastiest and fattest, usually when they are preparing to spawn. Sushi should be eaten from light to dark, as dark sushi has a more heavy taste. June the 18th is International Sushi Day. Fugu is the Japanese word for pufferfish, and fugu is a famous type of sushi made from pufferfish. Fugu is difficult to prepare because the organs of the pufferfish produce a lethal neurotoxin that is 1,000 times more toxic than cyanide. Chefs must receive a special license to prepare fugu, and the Emperor of Japan is forbidden from ever tasting it. Fugu training used to take 10 years. Today it's cut down heavily. From 6 to 2 years you can get your training. Bluefish tuna populations have dropped more than 96%, primarily due to increasing sushi demands. Most of the bluefish tuna fishing occurs on the coast of Japan, which has very few limits on tuna fishing. Ordinary, inexpensive fish used for sushi, such as sardine, mackerel, and horse mackerel, are caught in a net and then immediately placed in iced salt water that both kills and cools the fish. For expensive sushi fish, such as flounder, sea bass, sea bream, yellowtail, tuna, great amberjack, ikejime, or proper slaughter, includes quickly cutting through the fish spinal column and aorta and then inserting a thin steel wire into the spinal column. This instantly kills the fish and then it's placed in cold salt water for bleeding and cooling. Yum! The most expensive price ever for a sushi grade bluefin tuna was over $2 million for a 222 kilogram fish in Japan. There's a record a few years back. Now, most fish cost over $1 million. Initially, white salt was used to preserve fish in ancient times, but the salt hardened the fish. Using rice as well as salt helped better preserve the fish and imparted a pleasant, sharp, tart flavor. Additionally, the moist rice grains kept the fish tender and gave it a nice flavor. Traditionally, sushi is eaten with fingers, not chopsticks. However, it's appropriate to eat sashimi, which is slices of raw fish, with chopsticks. Sushi should be eaten immediately and usually in 1 or 2 bites. It's not a hamburger, it's a one-bite food. Also, sushi did not originate in Japan, but in the rice-growing region of Southeast Asia over 2000 years ago along the Mekong River. The technique then spread to other regions, specifically appearing in Japan around the 8th century AD. Primitive sushi making techniques are still used today in some rural parts of Japan. For example, funa sushi is made from local freshwater carp, which is pickled in rice and salt for a year. The strong smell and distinctive taste is compared to mature Roquefort cheese. I would not eat that. The first American sushi bar was opened in the early 1960s by Naritoshi Kanai, a Japanese native who ran a food import business in Los Angeles. The California roll, or the inside-out roll, was the first American-born type of sushi. Sushi chefs undergo one of the most difficult chef preparations courses in the world. They must know which fish contain harmful parasites and know how to eliminate the parasites. They must also know about biochemical changes that happen after seafood is slaughtered. And until recently, women weren't allowed to prepare sushi. They weren't allowed to be sushi chefs because it was believed that the hair oil and makeup would alter the taste and smell of sushi. Additionally, women were taught to have a higher body temperature, especially during menstruation, and that their warm hands would spoil the fish. Traditionally could work in a restaurant only after training for 10 years. However, modern sushi chefs can start working after only 2 years of studies. While sushi is high in omega-3 fatty acids, regularly eating sushi may lead to overexposure to mercury and an increased risk of heart disease. Larger fish such as large tuna, swordfish, mackerel, shark have higher levels of mercury because they prey on smaller contaminated fish. There are diseases that can be transmitted by eating sushi. Roundworms, hearing worms, and other human parasites. Sushi can also cause several bacterial infections. People with liver disorders, weakened immune systems such as children, pregnant women, elderly people should avoid eating sushi. For example, salmonella outbreak linked to raw tuna in sushi sickened over 50 people in 9 states in May of 2015. Still, some people can seemingly become addicted to sushi. Researchers believe it's because of the makeup of a fish's muscle. Fish have a softer and smoother texture when prepared raw. Even when cooked, fish have a lighter feel than beef or chicken. Sushi is also thought as an aphrodisiac because 2 common sushi fish, mackerel and salmon, are high in omega-3s, which are fatty acids that aid in sex hormone production. Additionally, tuna is a source of selenium, which helps increase a male's sperm count. The common saying about sushi is that it's like sex. Even when it's bad, it's still pretty good. In the US, there are about 4,000 sushi restaurants. In Japan, there are close to 50,000. A standard nigiri sushi roll contains about 350 calories, 10 grams of protein, 40 grams of carbs, 3 grams of unsaturated fats, and 0.5 grams of sodium. Even though there are only 4,000 sushi restaurants in the US, the revenue from those 4,000 is close to $2 billion. Sushi represents a 5th taste. After salt, sweet, sour, and bitter, the 5th taste, or umami, is also found in kelp, meat, cheese, asparagus, and tomatoes. The longest sushi roll ever created wasn't created in Japan. It measured 2,521.74 meters, about 8,000 feet, and was constructed in Russia in December of 2011 at a Sushkov restaurant. Jiro Ono is considered to be the world's best sushi chef. Customers make reservation at his Tokyo restaurants Tsukiyabashi Jiro up to a year in advance, even more now because he's really old. His rice is described as a cloud that explodes in your mouth. He also holds the Guinness World Record for being the world's oldest 3 Michelin star chef, and there are 3 movies made about him and sushi. Japanese sushi chefs believe that the blade has a soul that was imbued by the craftsman who made, sharpened, and fitted the blade. Consequently, Japanese chefs treat their knives with the utmost care and respect, and professional chefs in Japan sharpen their knives every night after closing. Misao Okawa was the oldest person that died at 117 years old just a few weeks after reaching that age, in April 2015, said that the secret to long life is sleep and sushi. And in closing, according to the English Oxford Dictionary, the earliest mention of sushi in English is in an 1893 book titled Japanese Interiors, though there are sporadic references to sushi in other English sources dating back to 1873. And that's all for today. I'm not a big lover of sushi. Tell me in the comment section below if you like sushi, if you've ever eaten, or I'd like to thank you for watching this video, subscribing. There are 3 new people who subscribe to this channel. Don't forget to share, like, subscribe, hit the notification button, bell. I'm Alex, and until next time, beware of the falling apples.